What's up, Broncos country? This is Do the Bronco, Everything Broncos Podcast Network. Um, I'm back here to, just shed a little light. You know what I mean? A lot of people been watching, a lot of podcasts, a lot of sports shows on TV and all that stuff. So, a lot of people been saying that the Denver Broncos job is not unattractive because we're connected to Russell Wilson. Now, listen, all of the Denver Broncos, all of not just the Denver Broncos, any head coaching job in the NFL is attractive, especially the Denver Broncos. And I'm just here to to tell you, a few reasons why. Number one, the Denver Broncos, we have a real true history of being one of the winningest clubs in the NFL. We have a winning tradition. Sorry to say that, we wasn't, I mean, we wasn't held to that standard, the last 7 years, you know. But I think it's a change coming. Everything's gonna be different. I kind of feel that because right now we have structure. You know what I mean? It's structure in Denver right now. You know what I mean? With the ownership group, Greg Penner, Rob Walton, and Condoleezza Rice and all them. And Greg Penner is going to lead this head coaching search. You know what I mean? And I believe, him being a CEO in the business world might give him an upper hand and really figure out who's going to cut the mustard when it comes to being this next head coach of the Denver Broncos. So, what I mean? As we get into this, I'll explain, and then, it's another list of, head coaching candidates that's out. I'm gonna get into that with y'all, and and just go from there. Um, uh, and I mean, things like that nature. But every year, man, every year, every other year, when we trying to hire a head coach, everybody want to put, blasphemous words, you know, on Bronco, on the Denver Broncos and on Broncos country. You know, do I think had lost the locker room? I don't know. There's a lot of dysfunction going on, and I think the last straw with that was, the last game that we just played against the Rams on Christmas Day. So it just flew off the sky, flew out of the tank. You know what I mean? We just everything just bottomed out. And Dalton Risner, he's frustrated too. He's frustrated for probably a number of reasons because he's a free agent this year, and Denver didn't reach out to him about a contract extension. So he probably has all that stuff run through his mind and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And then our O line hasn't been good all this year. That's why they let go Bush Barry. Special teams hasn't been good. Special teams hasn't been good for the last probably like about 7 years. You know what I mean? Probably further than that, going back to Super Bowl 50. You know what I mean? So just hopefully, what I mean, everything gets back in order because it's pandemonium in Broncos country, and we need a steady enforce, man. We need somebody that's probably a head coach that was a head coach before, somebody of like Jim Harbaugh or Sean Payton's caliber, even Jim Caldwell, because anywhere Jim Caldwell went, I'm not advocating for Jim Caldwell, but every time he got a head coaching gig, especially when he went to Detroit, he steadied the ship. He might not have righted the ship, like how it's supposed to be right, but he steadied the ship and got a lot of that dysfunction that was there out. And then what I think the Broncos need to do, excuse me, sipping on a little muscadine wine right now. Um, but I think what Denver needs to do, we need to go back to the drawing board. Just like I read from a article, you know, and listening to all these presses and stuff like that. George Payton even went back and told everybody in the front office, like, ain't nobody's job safe. You know what I mean? The Walton Penner group, the new ownership group, they mean business. George Payne had to go tell them, boy, everybody's being evaluated, even him. You know, George Payne, he just might be there till, you know, um, we hire the next head coach, and then probably through the draft before, you know, they might find a GM, another a new GM, because George Payne, he's not tied to them. George Payton was hired by John Elway when John Elway stepped away from being a GM. So it's a lot of stuff that's going on, man. And then when the new head coach come in, it's gonna be a lot of people leaving, man. It's gonna be a clean house from a lot of players that got an attitude and really don't really want to be there. It's going to take a lot of major changes, and all them changes is coming, man. All them changes coming. So with that being said, this is what we're looking at right now. So let me just give y'all a little update. This thing gets up as this thing gets updated. Like I said, I'm gonna be bringing it to you. Broncos head coaching candidates. Okay, this. I mean, it's a little bit different, but everybody already know about Dan Quinn. You know, Dan Quinn is tied to George Payton because, you know, they both was in Miami together. You know what I mean, and stuff like that, things of that nature. And then they both share agent. You know what I mean? They both got the same agent. So and everybody know who Dan Quinn is. He interviewed with Denver last year. Sean Payton. Everybody think it's a long long run for Sean Payton to come the Broncos head coach. Um, but the people out in the betting world, you know what I mean, in Las Vegas, you know what I mean, at BetMGM, Sean Payton, they gave him the best odds to become the next Broncos head coach. They gave him plus 400 odds. And then behind him was Dan Quinn with plus 500. You know what I mean? So who knows? And like what I mean, trying to tell y'all, man, the Broncos, if they want somebody, if they want somebody, they will get them. And they have enough money. Money talks and bullshit walks. Plain and simple. Money talks, bullshit walks. Plain and simple. Just like that. You know what I mean? So, and then, you know, I don't know if Sean Payton gonna want full control of the roster, you know, like be the GM slash head coach. But who knows? You know what I mean? But who knows? And then the thing about Sean Payton, you remember, dating back in free agency, Russ had a wish list. The New Orleans Saints was one destination too. You know what I mean? New Orleans Saints was on his wish list because of Sean Payton. You know what I mean? And Sean Payton has Sean Payne got a resume sub sub 6 foot, quarterbacks, which are Hall of Famers, like Russ. He turned Drew Brees. Sean Payne actually turned Drew Brees' career around to the Hall of Fame trajectory. So it's a lot. It's a lot, but we'll see. We'll see. But the Broncos, just like the Panthers, just like the Colts, you know, everybody putting out fillers right now. But even though the Panthers and the Colts got a head start, because they fired their head coaches poor, but they ain't got money. They don't have the money like the Broncos have. You know what I mean? And then next one like is Leslie Frazier, the Buffalo Bills assistant head coach and defensive coordinator. He's 63 years old, but he's just in the category as a former head coach because he was a former head coach. He had coaching experience. Then we got David Shaw, former Stanford head coach. Now I'm gonna tell you why the Stanford head coaches and former head coaches are is on this list. It's because of Condoleezza Rice. You know what I mean? Because she's part of that ownership group, and she went to Stanford, so she has connections to Stanford. So that's why we're seeing former head coaches from Stanford, and we'll see a new head coach from Stanford on this list. That's why, because of Condoleezza Rice. And don't get it twisted. Condoleezza Rice, she knows football. She's been around football basically her whole life. So what I mean. Don't get it twisted because she was former secretary. Because she's the former Secretary of State. And then you know Jim Harbaugh. He's currently the head coach of Michigan. You know, and when you speak of Stanford, you gotta speak of Jim Harbaugh because he went to Stanford. He's from Stanford, and he coached at Stanford, and he has connections to Condoleezza Rice at Stanford. When he was coaching at Stanford, Condoleezza Rice actually helped him recruit. You know what I mean? And this is the thing about Jim Harbaugh. I think he would be actually perfect with Russ because he's going to sit Russ down and he's going to let Russ know what the deal is, what the deal is going to be from the jump, from the get go. He's going to set his rules. He's going to let Russ know what it's going to be. And you know what I mean? And he's just going to let Russ know. And when I say it's going to be a lot of wholesale changes, you know, a lot of Russ people is not going to be able to come up in Dove Valley. You know what I mean? Like they did this year. They're not. You know what I mean? They probably could come there you know, at 6 o'clock. When everything is done. When they done, but not during the time that what I mean. It's going to be a whole lot of wholesale changes. Then Jim Harbaugh, he's just that dude because everywhere he went, from from San Diego State to Stanford, you know what I mean, and now Michigan, and then he was in the NFL with the 49ers. He won with Alex Smith. He won with Colin Kaepernick. Everywhere he's been, he's won. So his resume is impeccable. Everywhere Jim Harbaugh went, Jim Harbaugh won, and he's also a former quarterback. You know what I mean? So that's just the gist and up and down on Jim Harbaugh. Now we got Frank Wright, former Colts head coach. I like Frank Wright. What I mean? He's an ex quarterback too, and I think he'll be good. What I mean? He had a lot of winning seasons in Indy. He just had a bad year this year, and then Andrew Luck went on retired from him, and that was a little piece of work right there. Then you had Jonathan Gannon, the Eagles defensive coordinator. Frank Smith, the offensive coordinator. All these dudes are like kind of new and up and coming. Then Brian Callahan, Bengals offensive coordinator. His name is kind of catchy too because you know he was in Denver the Peyton Manning days. You know what I mean? He was probably like the QB coach, or but he was in there in Denver during the Peyton Manning run. So Brian Callahan has connections to Denver, and he also auditioned for the head coach job last year, and he'll audition. He'll interview again this year. Now EJ Vero, Broncos defensive coordinator, he was supposed to be the interim head coach. George Payton went to him and asked him that he wanted to be the interim head coach, but I guess he checked in with his agent, and his agent told him, "Nah, you just keep doing your defensive coordinator stuff there, because you'll get an interview at the end of the season." Which he will, because George Payton and them, they're gonna give him an interview for the head coaching job at the end of the year. So I think he did smart. He said he just want to concentrate on the defense side right now, but he will interview for the head coaching job in Denver this coming off season. And then we got Shane Steichen, Eagles offensive coordinator. I mean, he got them boys. He got them boys calling. He got them boys balling. And see, that was kind of similar, because they had coaching and they had coaching Philly. He had to give up the play calling last year, and then he handed it over to him, to Shane Steichen. That's when they started. That's when they started balling out. Jack Mayo, Patriots and linebacker. He's a former player. He's getting rave reviews right now. He also interviewed for Denver last year. He's gonna probably get another interview. You know what I mean? And I like players turning head coaches because they know what it takes. They know what players like. They know what pisses them off. They know what doesn't, and they know how to get the locker room to stay focused, and they know how to get the best out of the players because they once was a player. Eric Bieniemy, is something about this dude, man. It's like every year his name comes up for a head coaching job. We interviewed him last year, but hopefully somebody takes a flyer on him, because somebody really does need to take a flyer on him. He had a lot of red flags, but everybody got red flags and stuff like that. So nobody knows if he will ever be a good head coach or not until somebody gives him a shot. And that's just it on this list. But Denver is going to be it's going to be really attractive, really attractive. So, and then what I mean, it's a lot of things on here that I'm gonna come back and let y'all know. I'm just doing this one a little bit early, but I'll be back probably on the night about 8 o'clock to do another one. And right now I'm gonna just sign off and sign off with a Maha salute, Maha salute, and you know what I mean, the Broncos country, and everything is everything, and I'll be back here later on. All right, y'all.